All right, today we are diving into a really crucial chapter in the Gospel of Matthew. Chapter 10 is where Jesus commissions his 12 apostles for their very first mission. And this isn't just some dry list of instructions. This is that moment, that transformative moment where the student becomes the doer, sent out with the actual power and authority of their master. So let's get right into it.
So what kicks this whole thing off? Well, it all starts with this deep, profound sense of compassion. As chapter 9 is wrapping up, Jesus looks out at these huge crowds, and he sees a people who are just spiritually drained. They're aimless. The text says they were scattered abroad as sheep having no shepherd. And that image, it's so powerful. It perfectly sets the stage for the mission he's about to launch. It's a direct, heartfelt answer to this exact problem he's seeing.
And this observation, it leads directly to a command. Jesus turns to his disciples and says, "Pray ye therefore the Lord of the harvest, that he will send forth laborers into his harvest." Now, this isn't just a casual remark. It's a prayer that is literally about to be answered in the most immediate and personal way you can imagine, by calling the very men he's talking to. And there it is, the answer to that prayer. The very first verse of chapter 10 says, "He called his 12 disciples to him and gave them power." This is the critical first step. Before they're sent out, before they get their instructions, they are first gathered together and they are given something. But what exactly is this power? Well, the Greek word for power here is exousia, and understanding this is absolutely key. This isn't about muscle or physical strength. It's about delegated authority. Think of it like being deputized. The apostles are being given the legal right, the official commission to act on Christ's behalf. They're now empowered to do the very same things they've been watching him do: cast out unclean spirits and heal every single kind of sickness and disease. So who were these guys? Who were these first laborers sent out into the harvest? Let's take a look at the actual team Jesus assembles for this incredibly important task. These are the men who would become the very foundation of the early church. The text lays them all out for us. You've got Simon Peter and his brother Andrew, James and John, Philip and Bartholomew, Thomas and Matthew the tax collector, James the son of Alphaeus and Lebbaeus, who's also called Thaddeus, Simon the Canaanite, and of course Judas Iscariot. I mean, what a fascinating mix of people. You've got fishermen, a publican who literally worked for the Roman occupiers, and even a political zealot. These guys would have been on complete opposite ends of the social and political spectrum, but here they are, all brought together for one single purpose. Now, the way the list begins is really significant. It says, the first, Simon, who is called Peter. This isn't just saying he was the first guy on the list. No, that word first points to his primary role. Peter is being designated right here as the head of this group, the leader, who would one day guide the church after Christ was gone. Okay, so the team is assembled, they've got their authority. Now what? Well, now Jesus gives them their rules of engagement. And their mission is incredibly specific, with really clear boundaries on where they should go, and maybe just as importantly, where they should not go. Jesus is crystal clear in his instructions. Go not into the way of the Gentiles, and into any city of the Samaritans enter ye not. Instead, their focus is singular, but go rather to the lost sheep of the house of Israel. So, you have to ask, why such a narrow focus? Well, the mission's target audience connects directly back to the problem Jesus saw in the first place. The lost sheep aren't some abstract idea. They are those very same crowds he saw, the people of the covenant who were spiritually leaderless. And this whole sheep imagery, it has really deep roots in Israel's history. You see, this idea of God's people as wandering sheep is woven all throughout Old Testament prophecy. The prophet Isaiah wrote that all we like sheep have gone astray. It was a common, well-understood metaphor for a nation that had lost its way spiritually. And Jeremiah is even more direct. He actually places the blame squarely on failed leadership. He says, "My people have been lost sheep. Their shepherds have caused them to go astray." And this highlights a really critical point. The people weren't just lost. They were led astray by the very religious leaders who were supposed to be guiding them. So here's the bottom line on this. When Jesus sends the 12 specifically to the lost sheep of the house of Israel, he's doing something incredibly profound. He's stepping into the role of the true shepherd, fulfilling these ancient prophecies, and sending his representatives to finally begin the work of gathering this scattered flock. Okay, so we know who they were sent to, but what exactly were they supposed to do and say when they got there? Their commission was this really powerful one-two punch: of proclamation and demonstration.
It really breaks down into two clear steps. First, the message. They were to preach the exact same thing John the Baptist and Jesus himself had been preaching: the kingdom of heaven is at hand. And second, the validation. They had to back it up. They were to perform miracles, heal the sick, cleanse lepers, raise the dead, and cast out demons, as tangible proof that the kingdom's power was for real, and it was right there with them.
And then, underpinning this entire mission is one foundational principle. Jesus tells them, "Freely ye have received, freely give." The authority, the power to heal, the message itself, none of it was earned. It was all a gift. And because it was a gift, it was meant to be given away freely, with no price tag and no expectation of payment.
And that leaves us with a final thought to really chew on. If the entire currency of this mission is grace, something you freely receive and then you freely give, what does that tell us about the very nature of the kingdom they were sent to announce? It suggests a kingdom built not on what you can earn, but on divine generosity. It's something to think about.